Hi, welcome back to English Tube. Today we have Jim here. He's a traveler, I would say a world traveler. He's from America, United States of America. So I'm going to ask a few questions from him. So let's see how the conversation goes on. අද අපේ පාඩම ටිකක් විශේෂ එකක්. අපි බලමු කොහොමද native speaker කෙනෙක් එක්ක, ඒ කියන්නේ අතරම ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරන රටක ඉන්න කෙනෙක් එක්ක අපි කොහොමද ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කතා කරන්නේ කියලා. දැන් මෙතෙන්දී අපි කතා කරන්න යන්නේ traveler කෙනෙක් එක්ක. එයා ලෝකේ හැමතැනම travel කරන කෙනෙක්, සංචාරකයෙක්. අපි බලමු එයාත් එක්ක කතා කරලා එයා ලංකාව ගැන මොනවද හිතන්නේ, එයා travel කරන්නේ ඇයි, එයාගේ අත්දැකීම් මොනවද, මෙන්න මේ වගේ තොරතුරු ටිකක් අපි එයාත් එක්ක කතා කරලා බලමු. කලින් මම එයාගෙන් අවසර ගත්තා, මොකද අපිට පර්මිෂන් එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ. එයා කැමරා වීඩියෝ එකට ඉන්න කැමතිද නැද්ද කියන එක එයා චෙක් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඒ හැර මම එයාත් එක්ක වැඩි විස්තර කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. මම ඉතින් අදහස් කළේ අපි කොහොමද එකපාරට මේ රැන්ඩම් ඩිස්කෂන් එකක් කොහොමද ඉස්සරහට අරන් යන්නේ කියන එක ගැනත් ඔයාලට අත්දැකීමක් අරන් දෙන්න. හොඳයි, අපි ඩිස්කෂන් එක පටන් ගමු. අපි බලමු කොහොමද ඒක ඉදිරියට යන්නේ කියලා. So Jim, would you like to introduce yourself first? Just tell, like a brief introduction about yourself. How you started your traveling and why you are traveling?
Okay. Well,
You can look at the camera.
my name is Jim, and I'm from the United States, and I'm retired, 60 years old, and I love to travel. So in the summer of 2022, I sold my house and my car and donated almost everything else that I owned so that I can travel the world full time. So that's what I'm doing now, and visiting lots of interesting places, and currently I'm here in Sri Lanka.
Great. So how many countries you have visited so far?
I visited a total of 62 so far.
62.
Yes,
So Sri Lanka is the 62nd country that you are visiting.
it is.
Okay. So how long are you going to spend in Sri Lanka?
I will be here almost 3 weeks total.
3 weeks. Okay. So you have already spent some of your holidays, or do you have 3 weeks ahead?
I'm about halfway, I guess. at this
Halfway.
point.
So you have spent almost 50% of your holiday.
Correct.
Right. So what do you like about Sri Lanka?
Well, what I like about Sri Lanka is it's beautiful. The environment, the nature, it's very green, just a very beautiful, the hills and the mountains. And there's waterfalls, there's lots of interesting things to see. And also the people. The people are so friendly and so helpful. I've really felt the hospitality of the country being here. It's really been a very great experience to be here.
Right. So my next question is, say a friend of you wants to travel to Sri Lanka. So he or she might ask you, can you tell me about Sri Lanka? How do you explain your friend about Sri Lanka in few words?
Well, I would say it's a tropical country. It's very similar to India. I find that it's maybe less hectic than some of the places in India that I've been to so far. The environment, the nature of the place, it's very beautiful place. I think it's a place that a lot of people don't know much about. And that's a shame because it's very interesting in its own right. And I think it's a place that a lot of people should put on their list of places to visit in the world because it is a special place.
Right. Thank you. And I hope you will spread the word among your fellow travelers that they should visit Sri Lanka.
I definitely will do that.
Okay. Okay. So what are the places you have visited so far in Sri Lanka?
Well, so far, I went to Sigiriya, and that was amazing.
I didn't.
That was an amazing place with the huge rock with the palace on top of it. It's almost 200 meters tall. Really interesting place. Climbing the steps to go up to the top of that was really, it was a workout, but I loved doing that. Went to the Dambula cave temples.
Cave temple, yeah.
And that's also very interesting. There's 5 different caves there
Okay, yeah.
with different Buddhas and different things inside that are really amazing. It's very, very interesting. And then also, just yesterday, I went to Kandy, which is in the center of the country, and went to the Pinawala Elephant Orphanage, which was very interesting. That supposedly is the largest herd of elephants in the world that are there. There's like 71 elephants or something like that.
Yeah.
So I got to see that, and they happened to be there at the time when they had the elephants in the river and they're bathing them. So that was very interesting to see that as well.
Right. It could be the largest orphanage, I guess. Largest herd of elephant, or maybe largest orphanage. I'm not too sure about it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of elephants. That's
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. So out of these places you have visited so far, which is your best? Which is your favorite in Sri Lanka?
I think so far, Sigiriya probably would
Sigiriya,
be.
yes. Yeah.
I think because I like the nature part of it. I like the exercise part of it,
Right.
climbing up the stairs and everything.
And the history.
And the history of it as
Right.
well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that it's this huge rock standing out there in front of you that is very takes your breath away.
It's very unusual, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. The rock and the location and the placement and the shape and everything.
Right. Yeah.
It's a bit unusual.
It's unexpected. And then from the top, when you can look around the entire area, you don't see anything like that. You see some mountains and you see lakes and things like that, but you don't see another rock formation that looks like that.
It's very isolated, right?
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I have only been twice to Sigiri, but I want to visit again.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about Sigiri, about the history and who made it and when it was made, and a lot of ideas. And nowadays different people talk about different things about the history. It's good, and they should explore and find. They should find out what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
So. Now, would you like to tell the English learners about your country and where you lived, and if you have lived more than in one place, and you can just tell us about the places that you lived in the United States of America? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I've lived in the United States my entire life. Traveled a lot around the world, but I've never lived anywhere else in the world than the United States. I've lived in several different places in the United States. Lived in California for many years. I grew up in the state of New Mexico and was born in the state of Michigan. And most recently, where I had my house that I sold a couple years ago, that was in the Washington, D.C. area. So I've lived in a lot of different variety of places within the country.
Same country.
Yes.
Yes. So would you mind if I tell something in Sinhala to the audience?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. What I'm going to tell them is the fact that you sold your house, your car, and then you donated the rest of your belongings just to travel. That is something a Sri Lankan would never do, right?
Well, there's a lot of Americans that would never do that either.
All right, okay. In here, nobody will do. Right. The Malanda, Jim, travel karanda, yagi gevi kunala, car එක විකුණලා ඒ වගේම යාට අයිති අනිත් දේවල් එයා නිකන් දීලා මිනිසුන්ට. එහෙම දෙන්නේ අර බැඳීම නැති කරගන්න. එයාට ඕනේ ලෝකෙ හැමතැනම travel කරන්න. හරිද? මම ඒකයි යාට කිව්වේ අපේ ලංකාවේ කට්ටිය නම් එහෙම කරන්නේ කරනවා කියලා හිතන්න අමාරුයි. එහෙම දෙයක් කරයි කියලා. ඉතින් එයා ලෝකෙ වටේම travel කරනවා මම හිතන්නේ. So you have traveled within Asia, right? Recently? Whole region of Asia, where have you been traveling so far?
I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So where else you are going to travel? I mean, after Asia, and you may be visiting Asia, then after that?
Yes. After Sri Lanka, I'm going to be going to India for about a month. And then this summer, I'll be spending some time in Europe. So I'll be doing some traveling there
Right.
and visiting some
Okay.
places there.
Okay. Now next, I'm going to ask you about your ancestry, the history that you said you were doing the research. I will
Yes.
explain it, and then I will ask the question.
Okay.
අපි මේ වීඩියෝ එක පටන් ගන්න කලින් මම ජිම් එක පොඩි chat එකක් දැම්මා. ඉතින් එයා කිව්වා එයා මේ කොවිඩ් කාලේදී එයා රිසර්ච් එකක් කළාලු එයාගේ ෆැමිලි ට්‍රී එක ගැන, ෆැමිලි හිස්ටරි එක ගැන හොයන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ අම්මා කොහෙන්ද ආවේ, තාත්තා කොහෙන්ද ආවේ, ඒ වගේ DNA ටෙස්ට් එකක් එහෙම කරලා ඒ වගේම ඔන්ලයින් රිසර්ච් කරලා එයා පොඩි පොතක් හැදුවලු එයාගේ ෆැමිලි එක ගැන. කියන අවුරුදු 700ක් වගේ පස්සට එයාට ට්‍රේස් කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණාලු එයාගේ මුතුන් මිත්ත කොහෙද ඉන්නේ කියලා. අපි ඒක ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් එයාගෙන් අහලා බලමු. So Jim, you said to me before this conversation that you during COVID you did bit of a research to find out your family history. Right, and then you said you found out some interesting information about your family, both from your father's side and your mother's side.
Yes.
And if you could just explain how you did it and what sources you used and the information you collected and how far were you able to trace?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I decided when during the time of COVID in 2020 that this was something that I could do and spend some time because I wasn't going to be going anywhere. I was going to be at home quite a bit. So I used the website ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com. Okay.
And did a lot of my research from documents that I got from that website. And it took many months of going through all of this information, but I was able to trace my family tree, a total of 23 different branches, all the way back to the specific village in Europe where my ancestors came from. So that was an amazing thing to be able to do that. There were things that I didn't know about, that my family didn't know about, that I was able to share with them that we never knew about our family.
Right. It's very interesting, and I would like to trace my family history as well. I don't know whether the local information is available on the internet. There may be sources. Maybe did you do a DNA test? Did you?
I did do a DNA test as well.
Okay.
And from that, it kind of confirmed what I was finding from my research on Ancestry.com.
Right. So what you did was you just did your research and then you did a DNA test. Then you want to confirm what you have found.
Exactly.
Great. So were there any mismatches in the information, or was it exactly the same after the DNA test?
Not exactly. The DNA test is not perfect. You know, it's not an exact sort of thing, but it gives you a good indication of the regions of a different continent, in this case Europe, where it's believed that your ancestors probably came from.
Right.
So that was, and it matched fairly well to what I was finding.
Interesting.
Yes, it was.
තව එකක් මම කියන්න ඕනේ හැම ටූරිස්ට් කෙනෙක්ම ගොඩක් ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ්ලි නැහැ. සමහරක් අය පොඩ්ඩක් ඒගොල්ලන් කතා කරනකොට සමහරක් අය උත්තර දෙන්න පොඩ්ඩක් පසුබසිනවා. But he's very friendly, and you know he is willing to face the camera, and he's okay when I say that we are going to do a video. හැමෝම කැමති නොවෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒකට. So I was just telling the audience that not everybody likes to face the camera and everybody does not want to be in a video. And some people are not friendly as well. Right. So I think that's what I want to ask you basically. If you want to ask me anything about my country and about the people here, anything, you can just ask me. Anything. Or maybe the hobbies, or maybe things that I do, or anything. If you have anything, I mean.
Yeah, let me think about that.
Okay. You know, if somebody asks, okay, tell 5 sentences about your home, then you can't come up with sentences like that.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, that happens.
And later on,
Yeah.
I will think of like a million things to ask.
I know.
But now I'm just like,
I think this is good, and you don't have to ask me anything. I will explain that. I mean, that's a good thing because the Sri Lankans, when they want to learn English, and they think when they can't speak, it's their problem, because it doesn't matter even if you know English, even if you are fluent. Sometimes you are speechless. The words are not coming, right? It's a different talent.
That's true. Yes.
Exactly. So I will explain that. It's a good thing. දැකලා මම එයාට කිව්වා මගෙන් අහන්න කියලා කැමති දෙයක් මොන හරි දෙයක් අහන්න කියලා. එයාට අහන්න බෑ. ඒකට හේතුව එයා දැන් එයාට ඉංග්‍රීසි දන්නේ නැතුව නෙමෙයිනේ. එයාට එකපාරට අහන්න මොකක්ද කියලා හිතා ගන්න බෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිටත් ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා. ඒකින්ද ඇත්තට ඔයාලා දැන් ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරන්න ඉගෙන ගන්නකොටත් ওই ප්‍රශ්නේ එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඉංග්‍රීසි දැනගත්ත පළියට කතා කරන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට හේතුව ඒක වඩා ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක වෙනම ටැලන්ට් එකක්. ඇත්තටම. දැන් මේ කැමරාවකට කතා කරන එක උනත් මට මුලින්ම පටන් ගන්නකොට මටත් හරි අමාරුයි කැමරාවකට කතා කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයෙකුට කතා කරනවා ගැන මේ කැමරාවකට කතා කරනකොට. ඉතින් එහෙම එකපාරට වචනෙන් නැති වෙන එක ගැන කලබල වෙන්න එපා. ඒක ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එකත් එක්ක හරියනවා. සමහරක් වෙලාවට අපිට මොනවා හරි ගැන කතාවක් කරන්නකොත් වචනෙන් නැහැ. ඒකේ අපිට ඒක එක්ක අපිට ඒක අමාරුයි. එතනින් කියන්නේ අපිට ඉංග්‍රීසි බෑ කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඉංග්‍රීසි ඉගෙනගන්න බෑ කියලා කියන්නේත් නැහැ. ඒකනේ ඒව ගැන හිතන්න නැතුව ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරන්න. එතකොට ඔයාලට දැන් තේරෙනවා ඇති මේ දැන් ඇමරිකන් ඇක්සන්ට් එක දැන් ඇමරිකා කතා කරන විදිහ පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස්. දැන් බ්‍රිටිෂ් කෙනෙක් කතා කරන තව විදිහට. අපි ගොඩක් මේ ගොඩක් ඔය ඉංග්‍රීසි මූවිස් බලනකොට එතකොට ඒ රේඩියෝ ස්ටේෂන්ස් ඔයාලා අහනවා නම් ගොඩක් එක ෆැමිලි වෙනවා. කනට ඇහුනහම තමයි හුරු වෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපිට හරි අමාරුයි යා කියන දේ තේරුම් ගන්න. දැන් සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒ වගේ අපි ඉංග්‍රීසි කතා කරනවා සමහරක් වෙලාවට තේරුම් ගන්න අමාරු වෙන්න පුළුවන් සමහරක් පැතිවල. මොකද අපි වචන හරියට ප්‍රොනවුන්ස් කරාට ඒගොල්ලෝ හරියට ප්‍රොනවුන්ස් කරන්නේ නැහැ පළක් ඒවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේම රටේ සමහරක් පළාත් ඇති ප්‍රාන්ත ඇති ඒගොල්ලන් තේරුම් ගන්න බැරි. Jim, I have a question. Now I know USA is huge, right? So you have, what do you call them, counties, different counties, or what do you call them?
Well, there's states. 50 states.
Sorry, yeah, it's states. You have 50 states.
50 states.
Right. Now, when you take all these 50 states, do they have the same accent? So when they speak English, they have different accents, right? They don't have the same accent.
That's true.
Right.
Yes, there is a variety of different accents throughout the country.
Right.
And the accent that I have, I think that you would probably call it a Midwestern accent.
Midwestern accent. Okay.
Because that's where my parents grew up, and so we have that kind of accent. But different parts of the country do have a different
accents.
And it can be difficult even for someone from another part of the US to understand sometimes that accent.
Right. Yes. I thought because in England it's that happens because they have counties, so they can't understand accent from a different county, certain counties. I think same thing applies to USA as well, right? So have you ever come across anybody with a different accent that it's difficult for you to understand? Have you
in the United States?
Yes.
Sometimes it can be a little difficult. I don't know that I've been where I didn't understand it.
Yeah, maybe because
you had to really listen a little closer.
Right. It's bit difficult, right?
Yes,
so you have to pay more extra attention to understand.
Right.
Okay. Right.
But I will say, as far as English in other countries, personally for me, the one country that I have a difficulty understanding is Irish. Irish English. For me,
really?
it's very difficult for me to understand.
It's because of their accent or the
It's the accent. Yes, it's maybe the cadence of the speech, or maybe there's some slang in there. I'm not really sure what it is.
Right.
But I know I have watched like different movies that are from Ireland, and sometimes I
see.
I don't understand it. It's like they're speaking English. I know they are, but I don't understand it. And that's a thing too. I think that I could ask you about here is you're probably more accustomed to hearing a British English accent.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So probably listening to somebody like me is probably a very different sounding.
I think so.
You may have heard this type of an accent in a movie or music or something like that, but probably not from a tourist on the street.
Yeah. I know in Sri Lanka they watch a lot of Western movies, especially movies from USA and UK. So maybe they are familiar. Most of them are familiar with the accent, but sometimes they have difficulties in understanding in general conversation. If it's a movie, they always understand because there's a story, there's a flow of the story, so you can guess.
Helps
that helps.
Yes.
If it's a normal conversation, there might be difficulties. Yeah. In Sri Lanka, we don't have much differences, but there are slight differences and certain words in certain areas. So when they speak, we know which part of Sri Lanka they're from. Right?
I guess so.
Okay, let's talk about music. Right. So what are your favorite bands and what sort of music do you listen to?
Well, I listen to a variety of different types of music. being older, I also like a lot of music from the 70s and 80s. So that's a lot of the music that I grew up with and that I like to listen to.
Right. But would you believe if I say that even in Sri Lanka, we listen to 80s music and late 70s, early 90s is my favorite. I have friends who listen to this sort of music. And can you name a few bands that you like?
Well, from the 80s, of course, there were a lot of very popular acts at that time, artists. People like Madonna and Prince and Michael Jackson, of course. And then groups like Duran Duran or Culture Club, they're also very popular.
Right. And they were popular in Sri Lanka as well.
Oh.
Right. And do you know Duran Duran, they have one of the songs, I can't remember the song. It was filmed in Sri Lanka, in Dambulla.
Oh, really?
Saving a Prayer or something like that?
Say a Prayer.
Say a Prayer. Yeah, that was recorded.
Really?
The music video is from Sigiri or Dambulla. Just,
I'll have to look that up. I have to look at that.
That was filmed in Dambulla or Sigiri. Anyway, in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song, yes. And Duran Duran, I like Ordinary World from Duran Duran.
Yes.
And was the other one, Kamandan.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite.
Yeah, those are kind of later Duran Duran.
I think it's in 90s, maybe early 90s.
It was, yes.
And Culture Club, Karma Chameleon. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Yeah.
Very popular here.
Yes, very good.
And what else? What about the rock music?
Some of the acts that I like, or some of the artists that I like, Boston.
Boston.
You familiar with Boston?
Yes.
Okay.
Just please tell me a song from Boston. I know one song I can't remember. Boston.
Let's see. Don't Look Back.
Don't Look Back. And there was another one.
More Than a Feeling.
More Than a Feeling.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Hi. What is it? What is that?
It's only beer and Sprite.
Okay. Cheers. Line lager. Okay. I want to talk about music because I can't remember the things that I want to say about music, because actually it was my life. In the early 90s, I was listening to the radio sometimes the whole day. And there were radio stations in Sri Lanka. They broadcast all this Western music, like pop music. I think that was the time they started broadcasting this music. Earlier, I think we only had one or two radio stations. They were running by the government, so the time was limited, and you don't get to listen to a lot of songs. But these channels, the private channels, they opened in the 90s, I guess, maybe late 80s. They used to broadcast all these top 40 and all these Billboard charts and all that.
Right.
Yes. So we were kind of up to date with the Western world. See, the only thing is we were struggling to find lyrics, and we couldn't find the words because there was no internet. And do you know there's something called an yearbook? They publish a book. Okay. I don't know whether a friend of mine said that there's a book called Yearbook. What they do is, in that book, they print all the songs that were released in that year.
Oh, really?
For example, you can go and ask Yearbook of 1995. Then you have all the songs, all the popular songs from 1995. Yes.
Wow.
So finding the yearbook, we couldn't find it because it sells like hotcakes.
I bet.
Yeah. With the internet, and now it's easy. You just find lyrics and you song title, then you get the lyrics.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
It's very good.
Yes.
Right. And I think you're not familiar with Sri Lankan music. Sri Lankan music is, I don't know how to explain it, because it has some influence from Indian music sometimes for some music, and maybe some sort of Western touch. And nowadays, I don't know how to explain, because I'm not interested in the music nowadays, right? I think it's everywhere in the world, right? They don't like the music of the current generation.
Right.
Usually they like the music of their, childhood. Right?
Yes,
yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because when you listen to a song on YouTube, and you look at the comments, everybody say the similar stories, right? When I listen to this song, my father was taking me to school or something like that, right?
Right.
All this, you call it nostalgia, is it?
Yes.
Nostalgic memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody has that, because we grew up with this music, and sometimes you know the meaning of the song, but it's a different thing that you associate with it, right?
Right. That's the thing. You
Yeah.
associate it
Yeah.
with a certain thing that
Yeah.
was happening in your
Correct.
life at that time.
Correct.
Every
Yeah.
time you hear that song,
Yes.
you remember that.
Remember that incident.
Memory.
The meaning may be a sad story, but
Mhm.
you associate it with a good story in
Yes.
your life.
Exactly.
I think it's common for everybody in the
oh
world.
yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's why people like to listen to the music
Exactly.
of their childhood,
Yes.
because it does bring back so many of
So
those
many
memories.
good memories. Yes. Yes. Okay. I think it's been a good conversation, right?
Yes.
I think my English learners I think they have learned some of the words, and I'm going to explain some of the words later in this video. Let's see the comments. Let's see what they had to say. So anyway, finally, would you like to come back to Sri Lanka?
Absolutely. I
Right.
would love to come back. I have seen, the places that I explained already that I have visited already,
Uh-huh.
but I know that those are just the start of a lot of different places to see here. I know there's much more to see, and the hospitality and everything. I'm definitely going to come back.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Anyway, thank you for your time. Right.
Well,
It's
thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
Yes,
And-
nice to meet
okay,
you
nice to
too.
meet you too. Yes.
And thank you for having me on your channel. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Right.
හරි. අපි එහෙනම් අපි discussion එක මෙතනින් නවත්තමු. So if you like more videos like this, put it in the comment section below. So I will try to bring more videos like this, and let's see if we can talk to different people from different countries like England, Australia, New Zealand. So any country that who speak English. We'll see. If you like this video, subscribe and click the notification bell, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next video.